திருவிழாவின் சிறப்பையும் அறிந்து சிலிக்கான் சிப்புகளின் சிலிர்ப்பையும் உணரும் பெருந்தகையாளர். தகவல் தொழில்நுட்பத்துறையை முன்னேற்றுவதில் மாண்புமிகு அமைச்சரவர்களின் தலைமைத்துவத்திற்கும் தொலைநோக்கு பார்வைக்கும் விழா மேடை நன்றி தெரிவித்துக் கொள்கிறது. Honorable Minister for Information Technology and Digital Services, Government of Tamil Nadu, Dr. Palanivel Thiaga Rajan avargal's visionary leadership has been instrumental in driving technological advancements in the state. Now it's with great honor that we welcome the Honorable Minister for Information Technology and Digital Services Department to deliver the presidential address.
The Additional Chief Secretary for the Department of Information Technology and Digital Services, Thiru Kumar Jayanth, Managing Director of ELCOT, Thiru R. Kannan, the Director of Employment and Training, Thirumadi E. Sundaravalli, the CEO of ICT Academy, Thiru Srikanth, all of the many executives of the firms with which we are going to sign the MoUs today, the press, the many staff of our department who are here to make this function a success. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to this milestone event in our progression to a more impactful ICT Academy and a more functional and efficient employment pool in the government and in the state of Tamil Nadu. I must first start by apologizing for being a little late, but only a few minutes late, because I was only told to be here at 10:30. I got here at 10:48. The program here reads 9:30, so something is a bit off, but 18 minutes is on me. This initiative is close to my heart. As you know, I've had a pretty diverse career and done many things in many parts of the world. Even in public life, both in opposition and in the government, I've had different kinds of roles. But this part of the IT department is very close to my heart because during my maiden speech in the Assembly in July 2016, I think it was actually July 25th or 26th, almost exactly 8 years ago, one of the things I highlighted was the great breakdown in our education to employment model. I said that in many economies, one would find either that there was too much demand, too many jobs and not enough people, so unemployment would drop to very low numbers and you'd have inflationary risk. Or you'd have not enough jobs and too many people and you'd end up with an employment recession. But it was rare to come to a place, and I had come back after almost 30 years as an expatriate, where on the one hand, companies complained continuously about the lack of people with the right skills. And on the other hand, we had thousands, actually lakhs at the time, lakhs of people registered in the employment exchange who had on paper some training, some degree, but in fact were not employable in the market, at least for the actual qualification that they possessed on paper. I gave several requests to the then Chief Minister, Selvi Jayalalitha, and primary among them was to say that we need, like in the Western economies, like in Singapore, we need to do much more to bridge the information gap. That is to say, children, and because many of them were first generation, the parents and guardians of these children needed to be educated about what the job market was like, what it was likely to transform into, what the potential for future employment was going to be, what the compensation levels are and what they will be. And so through the equivalent of a Bureau of Labor Statistics or something equivalent, educate and give guidance to families of the children in school, particularly in government schools who come from the bottom of the economic pyramid. At the same time, help educational institutions shape their curriculum in consonance with what the industry's needs are and what they are likely to be. Now, many advanced societies do all these different things. They have like a projection of where the growth is going to come, what kinds of jobs are likely to be there, what are they likely to pay, and this information inefficiency between those who are going for education and training and skilling and those who are actually looking for people to come and work. This could be bridged. To be fair, she didn't live very long after that, and they did start one initiative in the school education department. For the first time, they published some kind of a career document, what after 10th and what after 12th. There's a little printed book. In fact, much of it was not printed, but a PDF version came out for the first time in 2016, November or December. But after that, the initiative kind of stalled, and there wasn't much work done. Of course, when we came to office in 2021, I was in the finance ministry, and the finance ministry, as you know, has a lot of input not just into the budget but into the governor's address and into the priorities of the government. So we picked up on this again, and of course the CM has made it his priority with greatly enhanced inputs and efforts into the Skill Development Corporation, into the Non-Mudalvan scheme, which was conceived and implemented in our regime, and many other initiatives. Now, finding a gap and starting to do something about it is very important. Without that, we'll not get progress. But when we start to act on a perceived gap or the need to bridge, and as the ACS said, our bridge conferences have grown from strength to strength. I think I myself have spoken at more than 4 or 5. We have a few more coming. They're all sold out. They're in such high demand. We actually, I think, go in the positive. I think it's a revenue earner for us, not in a significant way, but it doesn't cost us to run these bridge conferences because there's such a demand from educational institutions to interact with the recruiting offices of the large companies and those who are likely to come for campus interviews, so that there's a feedback loop to shape the curriculum and the training of the students. But many initiatives are always undertaken because the normal approach in government, whenever you see a problem that becomes big enough to act upon, is to create one more entity, is to put one more special officer, is to create some other scheme. Sometimes it's for the good. Many times it actually increases the complexity and the inefficiency. Again, keeping consistent with my remarks when I was finance minister, I felt that we have created hundreds and hundreds of public sector undertakings, boards, companies, oversight institutions. And it's easy to make it look like you're doing something because you've created some new entity, you've appointed some new officer. So it looks like you're doing something. But if you actually look at the impact of these over the decades that follow, very often they're not meaningful. All they do is add administrative overhead to the overall kind of government effort without producing substantively better results. In that context, I must say that ICT Academy of Tamil Nadu has proven to be the far outlier, the great exception, because it was started almost kind of innocuously at the time of ACS's earlier stint in the ministry. But it was one of many such academies with Government of India funding that was started across the country. But due to benign approach maybe by the government, due to the right people at the leadership of the institution, I can say today that ICT Academy of Tamil Nadu is by far the largest, biggest, most successful such institution in the country. So much so that we have offices, I think, in 8 or 9 more states outside Tamil Nadu. And we run these bridge conferences successfully in even places like Bangalore, which is otherwise seen as the tech capital, in many ways. So, in that sense, ICT Academy has proven to be a real game changer for us. And because of my philosophy of why I thought this was the most important aspect, which is to break this information inefficiency and increase the employability of children and increase the selection, career selection of children and their parents, then I'm really happy to see that ICT Academy has done so well and is continuing to go on an uptick. I used to be in the financial markets, and they say in the markets that timing is everything. You've got to be at the right place at the right time. So I'm not going to take credit for this, but just be happy to say that overall, Tamil Nadu's place in the IT sector has greatly enhanced in the last year. The GCC headcount over the last 3 years after COVID is up about 40%. Last year, the leasing of Class A office space hit an all-time record in Chennai of 11 million square feet, which is far above the normal 4 or 5 million. And in keeping with the many ways that we have seen such an uptick, I'm very happy today that ICT Academy will be signing MoUs with corporates who are doing CSR financing for, I think, about 60 crores. And with the Government of India's Ministry of Information Technology and Electronics, as well as the National Skill Development Corporation for 20 crores. So this is overall about 80 crore value of MOUs, more than today. To put that in context, the last couple of years, we thought we were doing relatively well, signing 30 to 40 crore worth of MOUs. So I think it's testament to the improved focus of everybody on this problem of skilling and skill matching, and of making sure our unemployed youth have productive work. So in that sense, I'm very grateful to all of you for helping us reach this new high water mark. I will say that it is still a period of change. We think in the nature of the industry, there's a lot of change with the move towards AI, which, this is the third or fourth coming of AI in my technical professional career. But this time might be different. But even if it is, it's probably going to take a decade or a generation before the transformation is complete, because the amount of energy, the amount of processing power, the amount of computing power, the amount of data that is required to truly benefit from what is today's cutting-edge AI is not something that can be developed very quickly. It will need a lot of capital investment, a lot of supply chain improvement. So it's probably a generation in the making. But the leveraging of AI into the way we operate, into the way we do training, I think will be much more quick. And it is already upon us. So I think we'll see some changes in the way ICT Academy functions. And also in its integration with the government and our initiatives, which I've been pushing for since I took office in this ministry a little over a year ago. So I am grateful for your support. I hope that you will all continue to work with us as we go through this transformation, which will make it even more efficient and even more impactful. I'd like to thank and acknowledge just by list before I conclude the many people we are signing the MOUs with today: Kulik, ServiceNow, MongoDB, Government of India's METI, Government of India's NSDC, the ESSC, Fortinet, Nemescheck, MathWorks, OpenWeaver, Honeywell, Capgemini, Tag IT, Microsoft, Infosys, and ITC Infotech. I'm sure that when you come to do the MOU exchange, the CEO will explain for the press and for everybody else the details of what we're signing. But I'm excited that we have reached this, as I say, new high water mark. We hope that we will continue to deliver in a way that keeps you happy with the relationship and the partnership. I thank you all again for coming and for sharing this exciting day with us. Thank you.